Law Center. We are now officially going to be representing the patient, Milagro. And so on behalf of immigrant defenders, I wanted to come here today to first read the statement of the family. So I have that here and I'd like to read that right now. On Thursday, July 3rd, ICE brutally kidnapped our loved one, Milagro Solis Portillo, in Sherman Oaks. Despite obvious injuries that required hospitalization, she was left handcuffed and covered in her own vomit for over 8 hours without proper medical care. She is now being treated at Glendale Memorial Hospital and requires extensive hospitalization. Meanwhile, ICE has contracted private detention officers to monitor her 24/7 at the hospital, creating a hostile and frightening environment for her, other patients, and hospital staff. Their presence is invasive and inappropriate in a medical setting. Milagro deserves to heal in safety and dignity, free from intimidation and fear. So we just wanted to read that today on behalf of the family. And I also want to emphasize that in these situations, family members also don't feel safe. And so that's something to think about. There are two things that I kind of want to bring up today. So one of our staff attorneys responded to the situation on last Friday and was able to meet with Milagro and talk about what had happened. And I talked with them yesterday and I said, what two things do we want to kind of tell the media and the community about what's important here? The first part is HIPAA. So HIPAA is the federal data privacy law, right, that applies to every single state. And although certain law enforcement purposes, so patient health information can be disclosed in very specific niche circumstances from a public hospital. One of those is to locate a fugitive, a material witness, or a missing person. In this case, the hospital has not provided us with any information of why they disclose personal health information here. It doesn't seem like it fits under one of the exceptions. What's really important in this case is that healthcare workers are not obligated, healthcare workers and the hospital are not obligated to share any information with ICE or DHS about themselves, patients, or coworkers unless a judicial warrant specifically requires it. This protection ensures that patient confidentiality and privacy are maintained. So the first thing that we want to say is we want to call on the hospital to show the community, to show its patients, to show its staff why it's complying with state and federal privacy law. Because at least based on our understanding, there's been no comments from the hospital that say that they were mandated to provide this information, that said why they're doing it. And it actually goes against their own website. As someone pointed out to me yesterday, they had a ethics portion of their website that specifically says their main goal is to help the patients, right? This hospital, a private hospital, their focus is on the patients and the community. But these actions over the last week don't say that. They say that they're putting DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, over the safety of their staff, their patients, and everyone else in the hospital. So we call on the hospital to give us the information of why they think they have to give this information, and if they don't feel like they have to, which we believe is the case under HIPAA, why they're doing it and why they're putting the safety of their patients and their staff below that of the Department of Homeland Security. The second thing that we want to emphasize is we want to put DHS and ICE on notice that Milagro has several serious health conditions, severe health conditions, that when compounded on each other, make it impossible for them to house her in an ICE detention facility in a safe manner. So because everyone here today knows that, because she sat in her own vomit for 8 hours and they let that happen, we're telling you that if you try to put her in an ICE detention center at this time, you are actively going against the life and the well-being of another human being. And based on my own experience going to Adelanto, going to Desert View Annex, where people are not getting water properly, are not sleeping properly, are not getting the medications they need, Milagro, we can say with pretty definite understanding that she will not be able to survive, let alone thrive in ICE detention. So based on that, we just like to call the hospital again to tell the community why they're doing something that is not mandated under HIPAA. And second, we just want to put ICE on notice that this person, this human that you let sit in her own vomit for 8 hours is a human who deserves dignity, respect, and proper medical care, which you are not able to give based on our experience. Thank you. Okay, so we don't know when And we won't get any
At this
information?
moment, they haven't given us update.
Okay. When will you be able to tell us? Do you have any idea?
No, I'm waiting for them to give me an update.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Just to clarify something.
We're not here
But
for
the
that.
problem I have is you're not giving me any contact information or any timeline.
We are not here for that. We're here to make sure that people enter our property, that they do have business with us.
So I
That's
do
what
have
we
business with you.
We already
My
been
client
through
is a patient.
We already been through this. So I'm not gonna repeat myself.
Okay, so who makes the decision of who has business with you and who doesn't?
We've been through this. I'm not gonna
No,
repeat
you haven't
myself.
answered that question.
I did.
So who does it?
I already answered that. Like I said, I'm not gonna go through it again.
No, who does answer it? I don't
So
know.
I
I'd
never
like to
got
know.
that answer. So you're just telling me
I
you.
answered that. I'm not gonna repeat myself. So if you guys could move, please, because now you guys are blocking the door, so we have for the people that do have business with us.
Okay, so
you
just to
guys move-
clarify, you are not letting us in the hospital.
Can you? Yes.
Okay.
To clarify,
Got it.
yes.
That's fine.
Mhm.
So she's not allowed to see
You
her
guys don't
client.
have-
That is
You guys
business.
don't have business with us, so I need
Even
you guys
if she's
to
a
move.
lawyer?
I need you guys to move, please.
Is this not public space here?
This is private property.
Right here where I'm standing. So
private
now,
property from the gates and
just
the
so we're
gates.
clear on this, yesterday all of this was considered not private property, according to your security guards, and there were Spectrum guys that were contracted by ICE. I have a copy.
I have no
Este es su
idea what happened
abogado.
yesterday. I
Tenemos
wasn't here
derecho de
yesterday,
entrar.
but I'm telling you.
Who are sitting in the lobby. I don't know if they're there right now because they denied me access, but they were sitting there, and they were sitting there in after hours too when no one else is allowed in the lobby.
What does this say about her rights as a person here in this country?
It says that it seems like ICE is not putting a person's life and health first, which should be the thing. If someone is in a medical crisis, they should have immediately called an ambulance or taken to her hospital. My understanding is she was covered in her own vomit for hours upon end and choking, and they didn't help her. They were antagonizing her. Second, it shows me that private hospitals in California, I don't know if they're scared, but they're working with ICE when they don't have to under HIPAA privacy law. There's no requirement that they have to let them basically live in their lobby. There's no requirement that they have to give them personal health information, but they are, and the hospital is being extremely vague to its patients, its staff, and attorneys who represent its patients about what their rules are and why they're doing this. So I just think that based on ICE's intimidation and fear tactics, they have coerced or convinced private hospitals who say their commitment is the community here to actually do the exact opposite, make staff, patients, and family members feel extremely unsafe. And all we can assume is that they're just waiting for her until the doctor signs off and she goes to Adelanto or Desert View, or they fly her out to Washington or Texas. And the whole goal in these policies is to harm people. There is no other explanation for it, and I just think that it's so obvious that this entire immigration policy is the goal is to harm people, and people have died in ICE custody in the last month. Okay, I know there's been several deaths in Miami. I've heard of deaths maybe even in this state. I don't know if in the last month, but we put ICE on notice today that if they detain her with her severe medical issues, they are not going to be able to adequately treat her, and I'm really terrified for what might happen.
And she's scared because
Oh, yeah.
she's supposed to be in a hospital. Excuse me. Supposed to be a safe environment, and she's not safe right now.
No, and she knows what's going on. Her family's telling her, and she can only see her family a certain amount of time a day. And the fact that, she can't access her attorney when we need it to get information is, honestly, it's very appalling. I didn't know the situation was this bad until today. And I think people don't understand, like, when you are severely sick and you have compounding the stress of deportation or jail or losing your family completely after living here for 15 plus years, that compounds your existing medical issues to the point where you can't get better. And so it's like, if the goal of doctors and staff and CEOs of this hospital is to get people better, they're not doing that.
How old is she?
She is, let me just double check to make sure. She was born, did she not tell me? Her family might know. I don't know the exact age. I'd have
Can
to
I
look at
ask
her.
one question? I'm not understanding how the hospitals say you cannot see her since you're her attorney. That is clearly,
I don't even understand.
this I don't understand.
All I know is that
Issues. I don't.
they are saying that I am not allowed into the lobby, which in every hospital I've ever been in, even public, private hospitals, whatever, lobbies are usually public places.
I thought attorneys and family members were allowed to just.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
All I know right now, I don't even know the policy because we can't talk to the people who are making these policies. I know right now is I can't go into the lobby to figure out what's going on. And I know her family told me they have like a certain time they can come back, like tonight, for visitation. So I can't give you any definitive answers on like what their policy is because, again,
It seems incoherent.
Do we know how long she's been here in the
yeah.
U.S.?
Oh, over 15 years.
Over
I
50.
think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't go
For a while.
for a while.
For
Yeah.
years.
Yes, for many years.
Okay.
Yeah.